Hello, guys, welcome to this podcast, Everyday Talkies, which ironically does not come out daily. I am Anshul and I talk about random things to random people, majorly about life, perspectives, and thinking process. It's like an interview, or let's say more of a conversation with one or two guests about random topics that interest us. To be really honest, it's just a way to reduce my inhibitions in talking to people. So come join me and enjoy. Hello, guys, welcome to the new episode of Everyday Talkies. So, today we have Madhur Goel, my college friend, as a guest in this episode. Now, he is a wonderful friend and he is currently working on his own startup. That is why I called him so that he can give us a view into the world of how to begin with the idea, work on an idea, and actually bring it into the real world. It's a small initiative. All of us are starting at this age, and people need to know how the grassroots levels and the foundation levels are formed. So I think Madhur was my first choice, and I thought I would just bring him in and I would discuss about his journey with his idea and his company and what are his future plans and how is it undergoing and things like that. And we'll try to learn something from that. So Madhur, all over to you. So first, why don't you introduce to our listeners who you are, and then we can jump into your company.
Hey everyone. Yeah, as you told, my name is Madhur. I have a startup, Querencia Technovatives. It's an IT company, basically. I think we met in a IT project only. I started this startup in before joining the college.
We were basically studying the same thing and we were in different classes, but we never got to interact much. But I think due to there was one project that I was struggling with, and I had heard Madhur was an excellent coder, both in web designing and app development and all of that. So I just reached out to him to get some technical help there, and from there we are good friends. So Madhur, you told about Querencia. So why don't you talk more about it? Like, what was your initial idea about the startup and how did you come up with it and how did you establish the foundations for that?
Querencia is basically an IT company providing web services like web development, Android development, graphic designing and all. So yeah, I came up with this idea in my 11th or 12th. I have started this web designing in my 5th class. I grew interest in this designing. I started getting projects when I was in 10th and 11th. I met one of the person in Facebook group. So he started giving me projects and I started earning from that a little bit. So yeah, from there I got an idea. Why not start a business where I can provide services for web designing and development. Yeah, I told my father. So yeah, my father supported it. And then yeah, I started this in May 2016. And then in June 2016, our college started. In college time, I used to work as a part-time startup.
You basically started in class 5. Even I did not know that. Class 5 is too early. So you were totally dedicated to this, about learning about web designing and development from a very early age. So where did your initial interest crop up from? What did you see, or what inspired you basically to take up this field?
So actually, my father is a chartered accountant, and his mostly work is on computers, Excel or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing computers from basically when I was born, and then my interest started growing in these computers and stuff. So when I was in 4th, I got my personal computer, me and my brother's common computer. We were more interested in games and all. But then I suddenly a thought struck in my mind, how these websites are built, how these softwares are built and all. I didn't know anything about this till then. Then in 5th class, one of my brother's friend told me about this HTML language. Even he was in 8th class, so it was there in their course. He brought me that book, and even he didn't knew about it. He told you can study from this. So he gave me his book, and I started learning all these HTML thing. From there, I my interest grew in this coding.
That's an amazing story, because we started learning about HTML or these languages late, probably class 10, 11, 12, and then honed our skills in our college days. But you started quite early, so that must have given you a good background or a good base into this field. So what was your first project? From your very early memories, what was your first project or what was the first idea that you worked upon?
If I remember, I designed my first website, basically my resume website kind of thing, about me thing, a 2-3 page website. And then after that, I think I revamped my school's website. So my school website was kind of oldie and thing. So I thought to redesign it. But yeah, it was not a like any professional project or something. It was the first project which gave boost to my skills.
From what I can understand, these were your personal pet projects for experience. Okay, tell us about your first paid gig.
Previously, I told you about one friend like I met on Facebook. So there was groups like put me in touch and all these kind of group. There was one group by Tech Sense. He posted about I need a web designer. So my first project was designing a simple web page. He was outsourcing the project, so it was his client. So I designed it for him. That was my first project. It was just normal, simple business website. It was when I was in 9th class in 2013. My first paid.
Hey, that's quite early. So you basically started earning from class 9. Nice, nice.
Yeah, and I started learning Android development in that phase and did my first Android project in class 10.
Yeah, that's a good thing because it's like I personally believe that you should not spend years and years on the learning part of it. You should start working on a project, and we have this great tool called internet. Just search everything there and you'll get your solutions there, work upon it. It's a trial and error method, and you learn on the work, you learn on the job, and that's how you should do it.
Yeah, exactly. Practice always makes a man perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is how basically even I learned anything for that matter, because I remember in college, when we were taught the theoretical aspects of different coding aspects, be it programming, be it anything for that matter, it's okay, like you're reading it, but there's nothing excitement. You're not doing anything, right? You can't see things coming to life.
Yeah, you will not learn practical things. You will not learn from theory and all until you do these things. Even if a teacher shows you the code and all, you will not learn anything.
Absolutely, because I remember we had the 3-year course, so the first 2 years we were basically learning theory, nothing else. And you could write it, you could do the programs, but you had never developed a full-fledged project, deployed a particular app or a full working website from end to end, everything. So you never knew how to incorporate that in a real world scenario. So I think doing live projects where you actually are working end to end and working on all the aspects of the project really hones your skills, really forces you to apply those skills in a directed manner so that something comes out fruitful. That's obviously I think a good suggestion for anybody who is starting up. Okay, so we talked about your first normal work and then your first paid gig. So tell us more about Querencia. Like, first of all, how did this weird name come to your mind? What does it mean? And what does it exactly provide? So we talked about website designing and Android development, but let's delve more into that. So what exactly do you provide there?
Actually, before coming to Querencia, I think we should talk more about my previous websites.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So as I told, like I got my first paid gig in class 9.
Yeah.
In class 9th also only I developed another website for my own personal, like after that gig, that is known as MG Creations. It was also a same thing, just normal resume kind of thing or portfolio where I could take an order or something. It was normal just getting a project for practice that time. Then I started another website called TechOn. It was a tech blog posting technology tips about new technologies and all. In 2016, when it comes to register a new startup and new company, I first thought of registering it as an on TechOn name. But then it was not available. Like there were around 50 other companies registered with the same name. So I had to come up with some unique names and all. I started Googling. Then I came across this word Querencia. It is a Spanish word. It mainly means a place where you feel safe. So I basically decided to go with this. Our clients should feel like we are in a safe hands.
Makes sense. Like, but it's good. It's different so that you can get the websites and you can get everything. You can get the domain and the company name registered easily, and it also gives a really nice message. So that's actually a nice idea. But okay, talk to us more about the exact services that you provide and your initial journeys with Querencia.
I started with few services, normal web designing, mobile application development. I got few projects in the starting phase, and that was my first year of college. In first year of college, I started learning software development. I added software development as a service in the company, and there I first project when I was traveling in a plane. I started chatting with the other person beside the seat. He was a jeweler from Bangalore only, so we started talking, and he gave me the project in the flight. So I got my first software development project from there, and then we added graphic designing as a service. Also in final year, I learned this IoT thing, Internet of Things and all. Now we are providing Internet of Things as a service also.
So basically, that's a huge portfolio of things that you're working upon. So you basically do web designing, app development, both Android and iOS, I assume.
Yeah.
And then we have graphic designing, and then we have Internet of Things. So for everybody, since we're using these jargons, I'll quickly give a short one-liner. Web designing is basically, let's say, any website that you see on the internet or e-commerce websites, things like that. Those are web designing or web development. And then app development, obviously, app is something which is common, making it for Android or iOS. And then graphic designing is basically making posters and other pamphlets or things like that,
Logos and all.
more on the brand side of it. And then comes IoT. So IoT is basically, it's a new emerging field where, these smart devices that you see now, we have the smart fridge or smart oven and whatnot. There are smart this, smart that, and basically smart television, smart TVs are nothing but they now have Android and they can connect to internet and stream things, which is not possible before. And then there are small sensors, let's say, like you guys must have already heard the podcast where we had talked to Navdeep, where he was working on sensors in the farmland in order to get data from there and trying to automate things. That's kind of an IoT thing. So those are some examples of that thing. So it's actually a quite variety of things. So Madhur, are you doing all of this alone, or do you have a team or somebody to do this with you?
I had a team, but now like after lockdown, I started it alone. I had a team like in between, and now I am back to alone.
Given that you brought up COVID, so was this because like due to the COVID scenario, did that impact your business, and that is why that your team got basically reduced back to you?
Yeah, kind of. It was not a huge team, like one or two other persons, but then like being a small venture right now, it was not possible for us to hold these extra. So yeah.
No, I can obviously understand, but you don't really assume that IT companies or IT industry will be impacted by this scenario, because given that all of this work is done on the internet at a home convenience, you don't really need to go out. But so how exactly did this affect your startup plan?
Codes are something like if once got into wrong hand, the whole project is basically leaking. Like the codes are like, it's not yours then. If I say like I properly started like working on this startup from last 1 year, like after college, it was still in a development phase. There were some security concerns and regarding the codes and all. So yeah, I thought to not to give work from home like for the starting phase. And also like if you say even if you are working from home, your concentration power and your motive to work reduced to like 50% all, because see, if you have an office and sitting there working like it's an office environment, obviously your productivity level increases, but then sitting at your home somehow affects your productivity level.
I can absolutely agree with that. People don't really realize that. I understand that given that most of the IT work can be done at home, it's not that there is no restriction on that front, but then we also have to understand that all of us are accustomed to the more corporate climate where if we go to a specific designated place called an office, it need not be a huge building. It's just a separate room which you call an office. Basically, you are more focused, you are more, I would say, surrounded by like-minded people, and you get the work done on a regular basis. But given that when you are sitting at home, it's tough to get your mind focused into one thing, and that becomes a challenge. I can absolutely agree. And one thing which I would like to add in on Madhur's behalf, and Madhur, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think Madhur was a bit hesitant when he was talking about how in the initial stages you cannot easily allow work from home and give the code to anybody, because there is a huge aspect of intellectual property as well. And on the other hand, you want your services to be at the highest of qualities. So if you delegate it to the wrong person, the project might derail, the project might extend, and because all of this is now in a more corporate sense, all of this is paid, everything is in a streamlined fashion, you can't delay your projects, especially in these times where cash crunches are a very big issue. And then the big priority of intellectual property, because all of this intellectual property should come under one company brand. Again, if the intentions of the people are not correct, then the codes might leak or things might just go wrong. That is why it's in the initial stages you need to be careful, but then again it's part and parcel and struggles with the startup venture, and that comes on a daily basis.
Yeah, true.
So Madhur, what are your future plans with Querencia? How do you want to improve this, or what are your plans for, let's say, it's sounding like a job interview or something, I don't know what, but just to know more about what's going inside your head, how are you planning to scale it up?
We are planning to add more services like digital marketing and search engine optimization.
Madhur, sorry sorry to interrupt you. Like you talked about digital marketing and SEO, right? Search engine optimization. So could you explain it for everybody in very simple terms? What are those?
Yeah, so basically digital marketing is doing marketing on a digital world. Right now, like everyone is on a digital world connected to internet. So maybe social media, marketing through social medias, emails, and talking about your brand on social media to reach the valuable customers. And like search engine optimization is making your brand optimized for search engines. Your brand should come to the top.
In the simplest of sense, if I type Querencia in Google, your website should come on the top. It's as simple as that. Like let's say for Everyday Talkies. So for us, if you type Everyday Talkies on google.com, the website should come on the top. Though I'm obviously not an expert in that field, so my website does not come on the top.
Yeah, I can help in that.
Yeah, obviously I take help of Madhur and I learn that and try to get that easily accessible to everybody on the internet. But just to add one more point, basically everything in this world currently is moving from on paper to digital route. So digital marketing is a very emerging field, and search engine optimization, though people don't realize how important that is, because as Madhur said, like he was initially going with TechOn. There were 52, let's say, companies registered with it. So let's say that Madhur was in love with that name and he would still register with TechOn. He would have to do crazy search engine optimization that his website should have come to the top and left other 52 companies behind. That is why it is very much required. If you take very similar names or things like that, your company, your brand should come on the top and people should see that at one go, because it's said that Google's second page, nobody visits that. It should come on the first page, and that also I think the first two links is the ones that you click. You don't even go beyond that nowadays, given that people's attention span has become so less. So these are very, I think, critical fields, and they have a good market. So if people who are thinking of even being an expert in these fields, go study about these and you might learn something new. So Madhur, so what else were you talking about? What other services were you talking about on bringing in under your portfolio in the future?
Right now, like other than this, we don't have any other like services planned to like take into the Querencia. Other plans, we have to increase the quality of the services which we already have by taking the latest technologies.
I understand. Basically, customer experience should be the most best, because one thing which strikes my mind and I would like to ask you is, such companies are very prolific in the market. There are many companies who do this. So don't you feel challenging that you are just one another fish in the pond? Don't take me wrong, just trying to understand the mindset, because we have these big players, big consultancies who do the same thing and they charge crazy amount of money to big companies, and then we have smaller players as well. So how are you fighting through the crowd and how are you planning to distinguish yourself?
See, our like USP right now is give the best in the economical way. Basically, there are many big companies who are charging like 10 times of the amount which can be charged for a like project, and there are even small companies also who are charging like 5 times the amount which can be charged, and also there are companies who are charging more and not giving the best quality of the product. Like if you see, no, there are like 60% tech companies are providing the already built templates or something, already developed codes, and customizing it and giving it to the customers, which should not be done. Like if you go with the standard ways, there are companies who are picking code of technology of someone else and then using it to a client project. Our motive is to give the original and best to the customer in a best way possible.
That's actually true, because nowadays people want more personal touch, and given the economy, you also want everything to be affordable, because I feel currently everybody wants to have a website and everybody wants to create a brand of themselves. So everybody wants a resume website or things like that. There are ready-made sites, but you want it more professional, you want it more unique, and I think that is where companies like Querencia comes in for help to provide these services in a cheap rate.
There are like companies, if I like take a recent project, the person got the website developed from another company, got Android app developed from our company. The price of Android app was much cheaper than the website price, and also like the website was built on, like if we go more technical into it, it was developed in a WordPress. So WordPress is an like free open source software which you can customize and you can use it. Here we see like customizing a free software, or not even customizing, because there are lots of plugins available for that platform, and using those free plugins and not doing the work in it, and and then giving it to a customer for like much higher price is not something which we are making a difference here. For those websites we charge like around 5 times less than the price they are charging.
Oh wow, that's a considerable difference. You're charging basically 5 times less. So that should tell you how these big companies are earning basis on the brand. And it's sometimes right, it's sometimes wrong. Basically, it depends on who is the customer. But then I think the common public who wants to have a social media presence, who wants to have a presence on the internet, should seek out people like Madhur who can help them with these things. Basically, people like me. Like if I want to build a website, like because I had certain idea, because I had learned this, I could do this on my own. I used templates and free tools and all of that. Because I had that knowledge, I did that. But if people who are not into this field, if they basically go to a big company, they'll be robbed of lakhs or tens of lakhs of rupees, and they won't even realize that this can be done in a very cheaper way if you go to the right person and get it done in a more economical way. Okay, let's not dwell too much into the money aspect. People can understand how important it is to invest there. But talk to us about your most challenging project that you have ever done, or most challenging phase, let's say, in your startup life.
Challenging project. I think there is no challenging project.
No challenges. Wow, that's an optimistic way to look at things.
Exactly, like if you have project, then challenges are not there. Like if you know how to start, you take projects when you know that you can do it. There won't be any problems in the project.
Well, Madhur is just being optimistic. Like obviously he knows a great deal about the technical aspect, so I won't debate him there. I'm pretty sure he can solve all of that. But I've seen him in the college days. Basically, he used to work two things at once. He used to sit in class. I don't know, he used to half listen what is happening in the class. He used to sit in the back bench and complete his projects day in and day out and help us in our projects and do his company work, do the college work that he's doing, manage all of it in such a beautiful fashion. I'm pretty sure he must get tired of the nonsensical questions that we used to ask him about, the basics of stuff, but he was gracious enough to explain everything in a very lucid fashion.
See, the only challenging thing which I can say was the college life. In our third semester, I used to sit at backbench and I rarely used to listen to any lecture. Like even now, even if we talk with my friends and all, even they say, what you studied in the third semester, we don't know.
So basically you did not listen to any lectures on third semester?
No. In every class, my laptop was open and I was doing some work in that. Nothing else.
Well, guys, don't take inspiration from him. He is an expert in this, so he could manage both of it.
Yeah.
He has garnered that skills that even if he does not listen, he can manage it in class. But it's not the same for everybody. We need to first learn and then we can flex about all of these things.
Yeah.
But it's amazing learning about the different projects that you're doing and the startup history. Okay, so lastly, I won't drag this too long. First of all, I would like to address that I think the entrepreneur route is sought after in the younger generation a lot. People are going towards that. People want to work on their own stuff and develop something on their own. And that's a good thing. Our economy is growing out of that, and that's obviously a good aspect. So for people who are just starting, who are in ages like us, who are thinking of an idea or who want to go into this route or who have an idea and don't know where to start from, what would be the basic initial suggestions that you would give to everybody who wants to pursue this route?
See, basic suggestion is I will give is to do for that your dream of a startup, or if you have any product or any service or any idea in mind, just start doing something on it. Maybe if you think it is an IT based project, then start learning coding or something, start working on that particular dream. You should not hesitate to think about a risk or a struggle you will face. You should always be positive about that idea.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct, because risks, failures are part and parcel of life. One can't be afraid of that. The thing is, you should just start. You should start and let whatever happen basically happen. When the problem comes, you'll deal with it. Though Madhur has been very silent and very modest, even I'm sure he must have faced numerous problems while setting up his company or, while taking up projects and probably managing college life and all of this. So these problems come on a daily basis, and it's up to us on what mindset to take it as. You should always take it in a more appreciative mood and tackle it one by one, and things will eventually go right. It's, I think, years of hard work which which one day people look and say that it was an overnight success. I think that's one thing which people should keep in mind. And thank you so much, Madhur, for being a guest in this episode.
Thank
It was
you.
glad talking to you and letting everybody know. It's very casual because I'm actually leveraging all my friends who are working in their own startups or working something so that I can bring them here and even I can understand more about their companies and their journey, and our listeners can know about them so that they can appreciate the fact on how many people are trying in this field and what are the struggles and the ways that they're taking in order to tackle such things. And it's obviously a good motivation for everybody. So thank you again, Madhur, for agreeing to be a guest in the podcast.
Thank you, Anshul, for having me as a guest.
And for everybody who is listening, I'll plug Madhur's all social media accounts and his Querencia website so that you can just directly go there. And if you ever need anything, just contact him and I'm sure he'll be able to help you guys out.
Yeah, sure.
And he's running a one-man show. So I think kudos to you for making your dream come true, basically. Thank you again. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you everyone for listening till here.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you to all the listeners. I'll catch up with you again soon with someone new and lots of interesting discussions. So, bye.